Hello, this is Rory. I'm very sorry I can't be with you today, but I just wanted to say how excited I was to hear that this was happening. I think the key point is to think about how voices are heard democratically, and in particular, how you harness the local, harness the fact that people in this room have real ground experience, have the nuance, have the context, understand where they're coming from. And secondly, that the point of an assembly of this sort is to get away from party politics, institutional politics, vested interests, and have an opportunity for people to genuinely listen. People will come from very different directions, but it's an opportunity to talk. There will be persuasion. There'll be compromise. Minds will be changed. People will influence each other. And the reason this is important is that just as humans have provoked so many of the aspects of our environmental disaster, so of course the solution lies with humans. But it lies with humans being able to balance very difficult things, being able to balance their energy costs, being able to balance land use, the survival of small family farms in the context of Cumbria, where to put renewable energy, how to think about food security, how to balance biodiversity with other issues, for example, of landscape, of tourism, how to think about affordability, how to work out what trade-offs have to be made, because of course not everything is for the best and the best of all possible worlds. There will be things that will be lost as well as gained through this conversation. And on the other side, of course, you've got the government. And from the government, and this is me speaking now as a former minister, you have budgets, a treasury very anxious about saving money. You have 100 competing priorities. You have politicians worrying a lot of the time about the political game. You have a very, very dense legal structure. You have all the influence of economic players and companies. You have the caution, sometimes understandable, sometimes not, of civil servants. You have a multiple set of agencies, and you have decision-making that's often very distant from the ground, that isn't really related to actual communities, that can become very quickly highly theoretical within committee rooms in Whitehall. A citizens' assembly is a unique way of responding to that, of bringing the local to the national, of bringing the particular to the abstract, of bringing trade-offs to people who don't want to acknowledge trade-offs, of forcing decisions. But it's also a way of rethinking what democracy is. I think we're entering a world in which democracy isn't necessarily anymore about representation in the old sense of electing an MP and sending them off to Westminster to speak on other people's behalf. Because who can speak on other people's behalf? Who can represent all the very multiple identities? Men, women, farmers, environmentalists, people working in different businesses, the young, the old, need to find their own voice, not be focused as through the lens of a member of parliament. So I think this is something which matters for Cumbria, matters deeply for the environment, but perhaps more than that, it matters for Britain, because it's an example of how a serious, responsible approach by local voices, properly organised, can address some of the most difficult, most tricky, most elusive problems of our time. So very, very good luck, and I'm sorry I can't be with you.